Have you ever wondered why the United States really bought Alaska from Russia? It's a question that's puzzled many a historian and intrigued countless minds. After all, it wasn't just another real estate deal. This was a massive land acquisition, an area twice the size of Texas, brimming with untapped resources. Officially, the story goes that the United States was keen on expanding its territories, and Alaska, with its abundance of natural resources, was a tempting proposition. But what if we told you that there's more to this narrative than meets the eye? What if there were underlying motivations, strategic moves played out on a global chessboard, and hidden agendas that aren't widely known? Yes, the Great Alaskan Purchase was not just about expansion and resources. It was a complex tapestry of geopolitical maneuvering, shrewd negotiations, and a vision for a future America. So buckle up, history enthusiasts, as we delve into the intriguing saga of the Alaskan Purchase. To fully grasp the reason behind the Alaskan Purchase, we must first understand the geopolitical landscape of the mid-19th century. Picture this: the mid-19th century, a world stage dominated by a handful of colossal empires, each vying for power, territory, and influence. The British Empire, the Russian Empire, and the burgeoning United States were the key players of this era, each with its own interests and agendas. The British Empire, the sun that never sets, had expanded its influence across the globe. It was a maritime powerhouse with a thirst for new territories and trade routes. The Russians, on the other hand, were a continental giant, stretching from Eastern Europe to the vast, icy wilderness of Siberia. But despite their size, they were plagued by internal issues, economic struggles, and a lack of infrastructure, especially in the remote regions of Alaska. Meanwhile, the United States was on the rise. Fresh from the victories of the Mexican-American War and the acquisition of Western territories, the country was expanding westward, driven by the philosophy of manifest destiny. This doctrine held that the U.S. was destined to stretch from coast to coast, encompassing the entirety of North America. Now, let's turn our attention to Alaska. On the surface, it was a remote, inhospitable territory, rich in natural resources but challenging to exploit. However, its strategic location was of immense value. Nestled between the Pacific and Arctic Oceans, it was a gateway to Asia, and a potential base for the control of the Arctic region. The British, Russian, and American interests in Alaska were a complex web of geopolitics, economics, and strategic maneuverings. For the British, Alaska was a potential route to the Pacific and Asia. For the Russians, it was a financial burden and a strategic liability. For the United States, it was a piece of the manifest destiny puzzle and a potential buffer against British expansion. With this backdrop in mind, the importance of Alaska begins to come into focus. Now let's dive into the negotiation that led to the Alaskan Purchase. The year was 1867, a time of political tension and territorial expansion. At the heart of the negotiation were two key figures: Secretary of State William H. Seward and Russian Minister Eduard de Stoical. Seward, a man of vision, saw the potential of Alaska, a vast wilderness teeming with resources. He understood the strategic importance of the territory. It was not just about the immediate benefits, but also the long-term geopolitical advantages. On the other side of the table, de Stoical was tasked with the unenviable job of selling a territory his country deemed too costly to maintain and defend. The negotiation was a delicate dance of diplomacy. Seward and de Stoical navigated a landscape of political intrigue and public sentiment. The stakes were high. For Seward, it was about expanding America's reach and securing its future. For de Stoical, it was about salvaging what he could for Russia. The deal was met with mixed reactions. Some lauded it as a masterstroke, a bargain at a mere 2 cents an acre. Others scoffed at the idea, dubbing the deal as Seward's folly or Seward's icebox. The critics argued that the U.S. had paid too much for a frozen wasteland. The public opinion was divided, but the wheels of history were already in motion. Behind the scenes, the deal was a complex web of negotiations. It wasn't just about price, but also about politics, power, and perception. Seward and de Stoical had to navigate a minefield of diplomatic challenges. They had to convince their respective governments, pacify public opinion, and manage international relations. But in the end, they pulled it off. On March 30th, 1867, the deal was signed. The United States paid Russia $7.2 million, a sum that may seem like a pittance today but was a substantial amount back then. And so, for a mere 2 cents an acre, Alaska became a part of the United States. But what was the real reason behind this deal? The answer is multifaceted, intertwining strategic, political, and economic motivations. Strategically, the United States saw Alaska as a stepping stone to Asia and the Pacific. The vast territory provided a geographical advantage, positioning the United States as a formidable player in the global arena. It was a move that reflected the country's growing manifest destiny ideology, the belief in the United States' destined expansion across the continent. Politically, the purchase was a means to ease tensions with Russia. By buying Alaska, the United States effectively removed Russia from the North American chessboard. This reduced Russia's influence in the region and prevented it from becoming a potential adversary on American soil. Economically, the purchase was a gamble. At the time, Alaska was seen as a barren wasteland. But Secretary of State William Seward, the man behind the purchase, had a different vision. He saw Alaska not as a frozen desert, but as a land teeming with untapped resources. And he wasn't wrong. In the years following the purchase, the discovery of gold triggered a rush that brought thousands of people to Alaska. Later, the state would prove rich in other resources too, including timber, fish, and most significantly, oil. The long-term effects and benefits of the purchase echo to this day. Alaska has contributed significantly to the United States economy and continues to play a crucial role in the country's strategic defense. In retrospect, the United States' decision to buy Alaska from Russia was not a random act of expansionism. It was a calculated move, driven by a vision of the future. A vision that saw beyond the immediate, beyond the doubts and the criticism. A vision that recognized the potential of the seemingly barren land. In the end, the Alaskan purchase was not just about expansion and resources, but a strategic move that would shape the future of America. The purchase of Alaska was, indeed, a masterstroke in the grand game of geopolitics, a move that continues to resonate in the annals of history.
Please do like, share, and subscribe to my channel. Thanks for watching.